Maasai people are being dispossessed of their ancestral lands for the profit of high-end ecotourism ventures, encouraged by the governments of Tanzania, Kenya, and a multitude of foreign interests from nations as varied as Japan, China, Germany, and the United Arab Emirates. Resiato Lembaka, what I know about you is that you are a Maasai activist, that you live in Tanzania. My first question to you is, where were you born and what are your memories of your lifestyle when you were a child? Was it a pastoralist lifestyle?
100%. Where I live personally, where my parents live, is actually in the in the forest. Because I'm from Gorongoro, that's where I'm really born. Um, my mother has not gone to school, so the purely traditional people. And my father too. But totally, I'm a pastoralist uh, person, born and raised over there. It's just a privilege. I got an opportunity to go to school. I thank my mother because my mother actually saw a hero. Her name is Manda. Maybe you've heard about her, Manda Wetiko. She has been a very powerful Maasai woman for centuries. We have grown up knowing her. So my mother, so she saw an opportunity that she was not taken to school, but her friend was taken to school. So, and her, she was married off without willing or whatever. So when my mother saw her friend is bringing out positive and best life to her own family, she said, why can my child not go to school, which I didn't, so that she can also become like Manda? That is how, and that is when my parents actually took me to school. So I think that is my difference of me and the rest of my community.
So what did you do? Did you help to milk the goats? Did you take the herd into pasture? What were your activities?
As children, we are an age set community. Like age set meaning if you are children, your responsibilities are uh, to to hold the cattle, the sheep for a mother if she wants to milk. That is, those are the children responsibilities. To go and take care of cows of and the sheep's children. I don't know the name, I forgot. So that is the responsibility of a child. But the more we grow up, we are rated to another extent of youth. Now the responsibility of a youth begins in our culture from 10 years old to 20 years old. So with that age set, you now going to go through um, circumcisions for the men, even for women. Good enough for me, I went to school. So my mama said, you know what, no, this one should go through. But my age net has gone through all. When you get to that stage, you're done from the circumcision and whatever. That's when you can get married off. Or if you continue with school, you continue with school, but don't fail. If you fail, you come back to the culture, being getting married off and begin having children when you are a child. So for me, I ran from that. But whenever I go to school and I come back to the community, I wear my traditional attire. Is a compulsory. We don't wear these dresses in Maasai culture. Even if you're going to PhD, no. When we go back to our community, we dress the pastoralist attire. We milk the cattle now because I'm a woman now. We have great. We milk the cattle. We build the houses actually. For me, I don't know how to build because I'm not staying there. I've been in school consistently, but I go to the forest to bring those, building materials, like the the the, 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 the timber. I have, I have in building, but I don't know how to build. But I do help the facilitation of building the house. Women build the house in my culture. And I milk the cow. I milk the sheep. I go to look after them, and I go to fetch water, and I go to the singing ceremonies when there is any circumcision or a marriage taking place. It's a compulsory. Every lady should go because if you don't go, you'll not be your home. They will not also come to your home. So I also still do all those stuff even up to this moment when I go. So did I answer your question?
Yes, that gives me a really good idea of how you grew up. So you had some responsibilities already as a child, and you took care of and spent time with the younger animals, the calves, the lambs. I think that's the child of the sheep. I think. And so did you milk them? Did you take them around, make sure they were okay?
I did all of them because we in the children in I mean an example, if you are in your mother's home, uh when your mother your it reaches a point your mother cannot go to milk because the children are there,
Mm,
especially the ladies are there. So we pick up the responsibility of a mother.
mm,
So we go to the forest, put the kettles, and then when we come back with them, we have to carry the the, the, the firewood as a woman, and we milk. So that is still my responsibility until I
mhm.
go back to my house, to my, you know, until I get married.
Okay.
So if I get married, at least now I will not be able to do those responsibilities because I have my own.
And then it'll be your children that will have that
They will
responsibility.
inherit me again.
hmm
Yes.
hmm hmm Okay, that's really good. So you do have a pastoralist background. I imagine that maybe some Maasai are growing up differently now, or no?
It's very hard for a pastoralist child to totally change 100%. It's very, very, very rare unless you're not born deeply there. But if you're born like where I'm born, it's so rare for you to change. You can't.
Okay.
You adapt some things, but 75% of the things you can't leave behind. Like for me, I can't leave behind the attire. It's in Kopasa. They can't. Even if I'm down, I sometimes regret. They laugh at me, but that thing is still in my mind. Greeting the elders, respecting them is a compulsory, and
Mm.
being faithful to mass is a very, 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 very strict rule. 100%. We still have that.
Are there some Maasai children who are being born in, let's say, some of the displaced Maasai people? Um, are they growing up quite differently?
Right now, they're growing up differently because, in the issue of, as I say, in the issue of Ngorongoro, an example, beginning last year, children fear to go back because they think, like, if the people are being removed, then what is the essence of carrying the culture? We better try to find ourselves if we can fix with other people within the town or within the people that have met when growing up in schools or in the area of the job. So people, reach.
Hmm. Hmm. So, when do you first remember as a child or maybe as a young adult b- becoming aware that there were issues with Maasai being removed from the lands? Is this something you were aware of very early, or did it take some time to become aware of it?
I've become aware of it the time I went to school, beginning my the primary education class three. I grew up. Uh, I got a fortune to go to a private school when I was in my class three, and you go to school and you find that people do not actually the idea of a pastoralist person is a back person and they're very weird. So you find people can't associate with you because you're from a pastoralist community, especially the man. So just having those thoughts uh, when I was a child, it really just separated me immediately when I began hearing about those negative thoughts. I began thinking, come on. So it created a room inside of me that we have to make a difference so that we can live like the rest. We have to do something to be like these people because they don't believe in us. They don't believe in our way of pastoralism. They don't want to hear. It's like a notion. I found that notion and it's still going on.
Mm,
So that notion being seen as backward people, barbaric, illiterate, it really, I grew up with it. Like I just grew up with a kind of revengeful mind.
mm,
Like I must make a difference, and I must make a difference for my people because it is really it is like it's hard for us to associate or to be with other people.
Mm.
So I think that is, I don't know if I've answered what you wanted to say, because that is what really made me to kind of bring.
Yeah, so from primary school already, you had an awareness that people perceived you differently, as backward, as illiterate, as so they looked down on you. Is this the feeling?
Totally. Up to now, we are still struggling with that feeling
Hmm.
until we see ourselves making a difference, maybe in the political arenas or I don't know, but that's to be somewhere that is known all over the world. Uh, that will make us be assured that we are people like other people.
Hmm. Hmm. And did this um were you aware that at that point already in primary school that one of the forms that this discrimination was taking was actually trying to remove you from your lands?
In the removal of a land, it came when tourism became an icon topic in the country.
Hmm.
And at that time, it was when I was still in school, pre-secondary, A level to university until I finished, still continuing. So our land was, it was like a narrative that was made by the president that passed on our land because of what they thought about us.
Mm,
So if they think with this were backward and then whatever, so it made them, it added a point like, what if we remove them from this land because they don't know how to stand for their own right, they are not in school. So um that thing began on top of that.
mm, mm,
We feel
mm,
like external forces are really on our side, but our own people within the country, and especially the leadership position, they are the ones that are running with that narrative for their own, for their own motives. Because every president that comes into the country uh, uh, has 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 just a motive of, you know, having control of a land, and there is no any other land that is left, fertile, good than the pastoralist land, because we don't build, because we have our own purposes. We don't run into modernization just like that because we think we have our way of. So if the country, the president comes in and see there is money on tourism, an example, or on these forest issues or carbon, whatever, where do they look? They look up to the pastoralist land. And mind you, in the pastoralist land, they already don't like pastoralists at all. Because that's also another thing. We think we need to educate about pastoralists in the future because most of our president leaders don't want to hear about it. It's like something that has been inherited about the pastoralist way of life that is backward, uh, does not, they don't know where they're going. They keep on moving from one place to another. So that way adds like, why don't we take that as an advantage by, making them settle by force by enemies because they have power to our
mm, mm. I'm gonna ask you now about the voting situation because these politicians obviously one of the main problems seems to be that you are being denied the ability to vote. How do they prevent you from voting?
I think I can begin by saying that my region is one of the very potential region in the country because of tourism activity.
Mm,
It is the fertile land ever, wildlife everywhere, and just by the rise of leaders, that is, it's like a place that is dearly for them to get money. So um, um, there have been a debate, and it became seriously last year, 2021. I mean 2023, whereby they wanted to indicate move all the pastoralists in that area so that they can have full control of the area. And they didn't really. Their plan was not successful because people were rioting despite they were not listening, but people never moved.
mm,
Those who were bribed to move, they came back. So I think with their plan, because I think this is their plan, and they didn't begin this year, they began a long time since they saw that many of billions of money are coming through the region. They just had to say, how do we remove these people so that we can, benefit it clearly without any preventation? Because people are very, we prevent really things to happen to us. But if people are not there, nobody can prevent. So seeing all that, they say the only way we can really totally say that this region people do not live is by not allowing them to vote. Voting determines also who's going to win. And our region is 100%. The region vote a lot. So, as I said, we are approaching election next year in October. So, this is the year whereby they give out um, the villages and the regions that are going to vote. And we found out that uh, within the advertising and the mentioning in the media on the places they will vote, we found that our region is not there. So within ourselves, and the people from the region, we began, um, coming together and say, what's up? We are not there, and we are a very big region. What is happening? So that is when we begin, uh, vocalizing in public through media, through NGOs, through international forums. That is when we began, demanding to be given our rights to vote.
Mm.
I don't know if
So
I've answered your question. So that is how it began.
I want to make sure I understand. So you said in the advertising about the voting, and then I missed what you said after that. So you were not being communicated with properly about the voting. Is that what you?
Yeah, I say, they always give out, uh, uh, they give an announcement. Let me say announcement on
Mm.
the regions that they will vote. I mean, the places that people will register to vote.
Yes.
Did you get me now? Now we
Yes.
found that we are not given any place. We are not reallocated to any place in our region to vote.
I see. I see. So there's
So we are
nobody
like,
told you where to go to vote.
yes, we are
Right.
not registered. Every space in the country is registered, but where is our place? And we always, why are we not registered to the coming election? That
Mm.
is when we began demonstrating, demanding, tell us the the body of election. Why didn't you not register? Don't you know that we are region? So
Mm.
that is when we began, demanding people to tell us, or the president to tell us, why are we not given a space to vote in the coming election?
So the protest recently that you were a part of in the forest was mainly about this voting situation. Is this correct?
The voting situation actually brought out all those things that we have always been ignored of,
Hmm.
because when the voting was a crucial one, because if you find that you're uh, registered to vote, that means you are not. There is no people living in that area,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we are living there. So after that, we decided to say all those injustices that we have been going through, and nobody has been clearing out. That is when we went out to demonstrate 7 days of the week, and we
Okay.
finished Friday last week.
So I want to hear about your experience in the forest demonstrating and take your time. I really want to hear about your experience.
It was the worst experience, because i- in this month of September and uh, June, July, August, and September are very cold months in the country. So the weather was so cold, and we have dressed our attires, Maasai attires, where no sweater, it's just the attire. So um, eh, the cold can flop you anyhow, and we were moving from very far distance, 21 kilometers, 30 kilometers. We are moving and seated somewhere, you know. Um, Food was a challenge, but we thank a few people whereby when we reach to the one bomber, they have to, slot two, three, five kettles for everyone. So we were all of us, old people, young, people, NGOs, the community, village leaders, you know, everybody was there and we were not listening to anybody. We were just marching on. And our aim of marching was to ensure, you know, the world to see and our highly excellent president to come and tell us why are we not voting and why we do not have the right to, you know, to vote and why 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 are the medias claiming that we have decided to move away from our land voluntarily? Well, we didn't volunteer, and why some of the social services like hospitals, schools, water have been, have been cut off since 2020, and uh, we are hearing that we are people from Ngorongoro region, um, you know, you know, have decided to move away to other area that the government has reallocated us, but we didn't. So the experience is that we have seen a lot of government officials were sent to come and calm us down to tell us, the president does not have that intention of removing it, blah blah, and we didn't want to hear any political leader. We only wanted to see the president. And but finally, we also the tourist cars. We told them, go back to your nation because this is the Maasai land and your money is making us walk away from our land. Um, Most of our people didn't know English, neither Swahili, but those who know, like us, we had to speak. That is an experience that I think it can never be forgettable uh, by us ourselves as the Ngorongoro community, because it actually made us to become one, unified as the whole community in the region, something that has never happened actually. And it has made us to know really who is in our side and who is not.
So, what was
So
your experience of talking to some of these tourists and revealing to them what the tourist money was doing by spending their money in the way they were spending it? What the effect that it was having on your people? How did they react?
actually, some tourists were crying, and some were they were telling the driver, "Please stop, let us hear them." Some came out of the cars. They were trying to communicate, and some drivers were threatening, like, "Hey, these are the people. Let them go." We were not understanding anything that anybody's telling us, but and most of the tourists were really quiet. They were really shocked. Some wanted to go back, um, uh, but some really comforted us, like, we didn't know about this, and we didn't even don't know what is happening. Some said we just come to vacation. We don't know what is going on, and I think some were like, we are going to reflect about this. And some were like, some really were crying and they were comforting us. And some were, you can see them calling. I don't know who they calling their friends, their agencies. So their reaction was really empathetic to us. And we felt like, they allowed us to move and to stop their car.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And it makes me smile because in a way, it's a bit of a strange concept, even though we're very used to this concept of people going to another country without really understanding the situation that they are walking into. It can sound very strange and funny, but actually, most tourists go on vacation without really thinking about the society that they're going to be exposed to and what's important in those societies. We think of it in terms of what we are going to get from it. Oh, I'm going to get to relax on the beach. Oh, I'm going to see a lion. Or So it's so interesting to hear you say that.
And I will repeat saying that I think that we really don't blame the outside world because it's not the fault. You know, you guys, too, you are too human compared to the Africans leaders. Most of them, they really, most of them are greedy. They just want money, and they want money and to exploit these ones whom they are leading, especially those ones who are not even involved in anything, very innocent, like the pastoralists, like ourselves. We always love to be around the animals, our forests, our land. We are less concerned with the cities and the modern life, despite if we choose to. So I think the issue is within the ones that are, leading us, but not you. We also feel like you guys have power to tell them what's up. We are not going to give you money unless we know this thing is between the local people and you as
That's very interesting. It puts a strong responsibility on anybody who is listening to this and people who come to Tanzania. If you feel that you can count on us more than your own leaders, then we have to do good by you. So I'm hearing you loud and clear. Mm. Okay, so I wanted you to tell me a little bit about um, your work now that you're an activist. What your work consists of. How do you integrate this into your life as a Maasai woman? And do you love the work that you do?
I really, really love the work that I do. I think I have been doing this work of activist since the time I finished my high school. Because I came from an area whereby uh, our land was taken, and our kettles were not allowed to go on. So the ones that were taking care of the cattle sometimes were beaten up. So, seeing all those injustices, I'm like, come on, why do people do this? This is their place. This is their right. So, activist work is actually deep, deep in my blood. Apart from being an activist, also because, through this work of activism, I've observed a lot of things. I begin, uh, I begin taking charge in being involved and being a part of it, which is development. My people are really poor. I can say they're really, but I think they're poor in terms of development, like uh, hospitals, schools, even marketplaces. They don't have, they are not exposed to that. So I have seen there is also a gap that through my work I can see, like um, uh, having school maybe or vocational training around the pastoralist community area, just to ensure this coming generation do not uh, uh, go just like that, literate without education, so that they can also adapt in the future, because we cannot really hold the tradition norms forever, because we also believe that the world's changing, and how do we change the world? Because we have to change, and one way of changing is getting education so that you can understand how the world is going. So for me, I'm also in another way of trying to, take a chance to establish something, and through establishing that something, you educate some, and then you employ, and then now they can also change the community gradually by gradually. So apart from that, I'm an NGO actually called the Lake. I think I'm gonna send for you the link, then you see our work. But for me, I'm an environmental and life food agenda, because I want people to change within the environment that they're living, at least to adapt transformative activities and projects, so that they can, you know, get away from all this sort of being ignorant, and later being taken to places that they were not even supposed to be.
I want to ask you, you feel like there was a positive result from this protest, and your president tried to reassure you that you can vote in the coming election. How much do you trust this response from the president?
We don't really trust her 100%, but what we trust is our effort, that our uh, motive has been understood and it's going to be left to us to vote. That is what we are proud of. But we also feel like it's another, we have raised another fire against our enemy, because if they've seen us, being given that freedom, we feel like maybe after the election, after all this, they're going to impose other things toward us, to pressure us more. For us, we are not yet really settled with that decision, but we are proud of ourselves, of what we have done through this demonstration.
That's really good. So, um, do you now know where you're supposed to go to vote? Is this something that has been communicated to you now?
We feel like us being left to vote, and then we will hear other statement of other communicated information through our president. It's not actually, she's we feel like she's not admitting on what is happening. We feel like we have won her agenda against, eliminating us totally from our area. And then we feel like she's not yet satisfied, like she's not convinced, like if we are given really that chance to vote.
I see. So she's left things a bit vague, a bit ambiguous. She hasn't given you the information you need yet. She's just
Yes,
said, don't
yes,
worry, it'll
yes.
all work out.
Yeah, that is what we have been seeing throughout since the demonstration began.
I see. I see. Okay. Look, all I can say is that I wish you every success with the next steps. I hope you're able to vote. I hope that if they don't give you a place to vote, that maybe some of you can travel to a neighboring district and vote there, maybe. Um, I just hope that the result is that either your voices are heard through your vote or that your voices are heard through the fact that they prevented you from voting and that that makes a bigger outcry. I want to ask you, thinking about ways of supporting you. So, one of the ways in which people feel like they can help is by visiting the country. And so I know that there are damaging ways of visiting the country that are bad for Maasai people. Are there ways of visiting Tanzania, which I understand is a very beautiful country, that can benefit Maasai people?
The only ways that they can actually benefit my people is through their own representatives, like us ourselves, through the NGOs that we are working on, because we are we are the ones. We have never seen any help from other tribes, and we have many tribes in the country, but we have never seen even them speaking on our behalf. So to really reach to our people is through us ourselves, because we know ourselves. As I said, I know my fellow pastoralist activists. I know great angels that have been working before me myself coming to the to this NGO world. Uh, the tourism company that we are talking about, I've begun knowing two of them so far, but most of the sectors are held by other tribes.
So, in an ideal world, I would imagine that these regions, which are your ancestral lands and which are so valuable to Tanzania because of the tourism potential, I would imagine pastoralist leaders, Maasai leaders, being at the forefront of the tourism industry and deciding how the tourism industry operates so that it is compatible with your way of life and does not destroy your way of life. And of course, that isn't the situation now. But how can we walk towards that becoming the situation? Can when we visit Tanzania, can we visit Tanzania through Maasai tour operators? Does that exist?
That is excellent. Totally, that is how it should go, because through that, you'll actually see what is happening, and you'll get the picture, because we are the same pastoralists who we have been kicked off and on, and we are still the same, trying to represent our people out there.
Hmm.
I think that is the best place, a best a way to go through about that.
Okay, so who would you recommend if somebody listens to this and becomes curious about visiting Tanzania and meeting Maasai people and seeing your beautiful country, connecting with a Maasai tour operator who works with you or people that you trust and who is trying to do the right thing for your community?
I will just recommend, as I say, I will recommend individuals whom I'll recommend those NGOs that work with the people, and then I will also recommend those tourists or Maasai's operator, which are very few. I will recommend you really go through that.
Okay, so you'll send me that information and I'll put it in the description of this recording, and so people can turn to the right direction. That's wonderful. Thank you, Resiato.
Thank you too.
It's such a pleasure to see you again. I remember fondly when we were both on a call together maybe a year or two ago, and now suddenly here you are again, and I hope to see you again in the future. You're just a really wonderful presence, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to see you, because I thought you are Jamaica when I saw your thread, and I'm like, okay. And it's also a privilege, and I'm really, really grateful for reconnected again. And thank you for coming again uh, through this. Um, I think this is the best, and it will go for the best of my people. And in any information that you feel like we can help, it will be a privilege too. And thank you very much.
For links to Resiato's recommended Maasai tour operators, as well as the LIA.org, the NGO that Resiato works with, please look in the description below.